Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of our Rescue Heroes. This is Parinita Sinjit, author of Little Leo series. Today, our guest is the founder of Rebel World Limited and the Lady Rebel Club movement that empowers, encourages, advocates for, and elevates women and all marginalized gender entrepreneurs who are neurodivergent or have disabilities. Jennifer, why don't you introduce yourself to our audience and tell us a little bit about the work you do?
Sure. Well, I'm Jennifer Cairns, so I live in Belfast in Northern Ireland with my husband, my two boys, and almost three boys, we would call it. He's more like part of the family, our dog Milo as well. And I run Rebel World and the Lady Rebel Club movement. And everything that we do is all about empowering, encouraging, advocating for, and elevating women entrepreneurs who are either neurodivergent or who have any kind of disability.
Wow. That's amazing what you do, Jennifer. It's wonderful. On similar lines, this platform is about recognizing heroes and their stories who have made a huge difference in the lives of their pets and eventually building a strong bond with them. You said you have your third child, which is Milo. Am I right?
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about Milo, his story before he joined your family.
Yeah, well, Milo was a rescue pup. So ironically, it was one of the gentlemen who worked at one of the rehoming agencies here in Belfast, well, it was just outside of Belfast, had taken in Milo and was going to keep Milo himself. Unfortunately, he had a situation arise that he couldn't do that, and Milo was going to be returned. So rather than that happening, it was just kind of one of those things where somebody who knew somebody who knew somebody and knew that we were thinking about, getting another dog for the family, and had reached out to us, and he brought Milo over, and it was, love it.
Oh, how wonderful. That's wonderful. What prompted you to go for a rescue pet?
Well, I think we've always we've always had kind of pets like that. There was, even as a kid, I remember even back in America, going to the pound, and a lot of our dogs are from the pounds and stuff like that. And I think that there's just so many animals out there that need a home. The one of the dogs that I did have here before Milo, we had a husky. Now he wasn't a rescue pet, and that, I think that's the only dog that I've had that wasn't, from some kind of rescue pet or from the pound or Humane Society or something like that.
That's a great thing to do, isn't it? I mean, they need a home as well. They need a family, so it's a great thing.
There's so many of them out there, isn't there, that need a home. Yeah, definitely.
And the numbers are just increasing. Sadly, the numbers are increasing when it comes to rescue.
Well, now with people more going back to work after COVID, and a lot of the pets that they've maybe gotten during lockdown they aren't so easy now to, look after if they're at work full time.
What were the adjustments that you had to make initially in your routine to ensure Milo settles down smoothly?
Well, I think with us, again, it was, my sleep routine. So that was greatly, yes, that was greatly changed. But then also things like just making sure, even though my husband and I worked from home at the time, we were, sometimes we would have been out at a meeting or getting a coffee or, we're doing whatever. So it was just making sure that we were home, as much as possible, because especially with him being so young and, and adjusting. And just also setting boundaries, with him right away. So, Milo's very well trained. Like, I'm not a professional trainer in any way, but he's very well trained. Like, he hand commands and everything very well. And since he was very, very young, like, we've taught him to sit and, and to wait to ask. He's told, go eat, and then he eats his, so just kind of putting those things in with the kids, building him into their routines as well. So for instance, when Dylan was old enough, our oldest, he walked Milo. In fact, he walks Milo every day, morning and evening, except for when he's at school. And then, my husband and I do it. And then, or if he's at football match or something. And then my youngest is in charge of feeding Milo. And then they both take him out and brush him, and all of this kind of stuff. So it very much is, I think, building that into their routine, his care and everything else as well, so that they have some of that responsibility, but also gives them, that Milo sees them as contributing to him as well, right? Which helps to continue the bond. Yeah.
And it's beautiful. I mean, I love it, the way you mentioned that everyone have their role, in taking care of the pet. It's beautiful because it's only when that happens, it does, one person is not overloaded. And apart from that, they have their own way of bonding with the pet, which is beautiful.
Yes, well, that's it. Exactly. And Milo knows, who feeds him. And as soon as he sees Callum come down the stairs, he's like, running circles and
How old were your children when you got when you got Milo?
Well, let's see. Callum would have been about 3 and Dylan would have been about 8.
Wow. So they started following the routine at that age.
Yeah. So, probably Callum not feeding him on his own as much, but definitely, going with me and helping to feed him and stuff like that. And Dylan wouldn't have walked Milo, on his own at that age, but would have went, with his daddy or myself. And, Milo's always gone. There's a huge park not far from us, which is lovely. So it's only like a 15-minute walk. So we would always walk up there a lot. And of course, bring Milo and stuff, or take him to the beach and do different things like that with him. So even when we're out and about, he would be with us a lot. And as the kids have gotten older, we've been able to give them additional responsibilities, with the dog and his care and stuff as well.
So that's very inspiring and that's beautiful. How long did Milo take to become a part of your family, and what helped the most during this period?
I think honestly it was instant. I think it's just as soon as he came in and we saw him, I think all our hearts melted it, and it was brilliant with Dylan our oldest had always wanted a dog, and we ended up having to have the husky put down, which was very hard for me. So it took me a while. I was like, I don't know if I'm ready yet. So I kind of had to be ready, and we wanted as well, Dylan to be a little bit older so that he could understand and be safer around the dog and all this kind of stuff. So we'd said, well, maybe when he was about 8 or 9. And then when Callum came along, and we knew that Callum, was autistic. And at that time he was having a little bit of, it was 3 still, 2, 3 to 4. So he was still very young, but there was a bit of behavior stuff and lots of anxiety and things like this. So, I had done some reading to see that, having like an emotional support animal and stuff like this would maybe be helpful for him, long-term even. And as soon as he came in, like literally Callum and Milo had the most fantastic instant bond. And I mean, even from a point of view of if all 4 of us were sitting in the living room and somebody would knock the door, Milo would get up out of his bed or move and go and sit in front of Callum. That was his first priority, to protect. If Callum wasn't in the room, he would come and sit in front of me. And he wasn't like, an aggressive dog or anything, but he's always been protective of, the house. And that's, of course, that's kind of their thing. Right. So, we gave him that kind of that kind of space to do that. But it's funny, and Callum and him, I mean, all of us have a great bond with them, but the kids especially, and I think especially Callum, has always just had that, and Milo's always had the temperament. And I don't know if it's because since he was young, but like Callum would have grabbed him by the scruff and go, kitchen, kitchen, because we used to put him in the kitchen, like if somebody was coming over, just so he wasn't, because not everybody likes dogs, right? So we would always put them out before we answered the door with the baby gate and all of that. And I just remember Callum going, kitchen, kitchen. He couldn't even say kitchen properly. And dragging him. And fine, now that, I mean, the boys lay on the dog, they're like, I mean, it's just, Milo's come over and he's constantly on his back with his leg, pet my belly. He's constantly, it's just, he's so funny. So yeah, it's I think it was pretty instant. Yeah.
That's beautiful. And, I can clearly see what a difference it makes to a child when you have a pet at home. And in fact, it goes the other way around also. The pet also benefits so much. And that instant bond, which you just mentioned, happens with the child. It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It really is. And I know even as, Callum has gotten older, because, one of the things that we always had to is Milo was never allowed upstairs. And he had a bed downstairs that he slept in, and that was fine. And he was, there was never any problem with that. And that was just for a couple of different reasons. But we just decided that's, the way that we wanted it, the way that we wanted, the sleeping arrangements.
Yeah.
But as Callum's, some of his mental health and anxiety and things like this increased dramatically through COVID. And we ended up, through his mental health team. So we had the idea, well, look, why don't we let Milo sleep in Callum's room? Because I can't stay in his room all of the time. And his daddy had a stroke and then COVID. And so there was a lot going on that he was trying to process, and it had really affected his mental health. So we were able to take, that bond that he had with Milo and really build on it. And Milo still sleeps in his room now, and even now we're like, well, what do you think about, just to see how he feels about, well, how would you feel about Milo coming out? And he's like, no, so that's, that just gives him, because he has that bond with him, he knows that he's there for him. He protects him if he wakes up. He still gets up sometimes and will come down and get me, but more and more now, he's able to kind of just wake up, and he gives Milo a pet, or goes and lays on the floor with him for a bit and then gets back into bed. So he definitely has helped, in that way so much with Callum.
I can just imagine how beautiful it would be with him being around in his room and helping him out and making him feel safe. Beautiful.
And it shows you how much Callum appreciates having Milo there too. And even though he kind of will grumble sometimes, because he's 12 now, right? So he's a kid. But we're like, right, well, if Milo's going to be in your room, you have to change your sheets for sure every week, as boys sometimes don't like to do, but you also have to hoover, your bedroom. It's a wooden floor, but you have to hoover your bedroom floor, 2 or 3 times a week. So there's these extra chores that he has to do because Milo's in his room, and he does them, for the most parts. So it's great to see that he's prepared.
That's very nice, because I was about to ask you, when you said he has to do these extra chores, does he do it? Does he like to do it? But it's great to know that he does it. And that is what you call taking the responsibility, right? How do you plan your holidays or outings as a family?
Well, it's usually when we say family, it means all of us.
I know, I'm sure Milo. You would be.
Includes Milo as well. Yeah. Now, we had a lady that we had met that we were quite, friendly with, who at the time was actually, she was doing her master's at university here locally. And her family had a big giant farm. So they didn't do like a lot of dog boarding. It was just only a few people that they knew. But because we knew her, I mean, she would take the dogs out for a walk at 4 a.m. And when she was up doing her jog, I mean, just all this, kind of, and they had fields. So there was plenty of room. They had like a whole converted, not garage, but like shelter area that they had, for like 2 or 3 dogs. Oh, wow. So we knew that he was in good hands there and got loads of attention. And the parents loved him, so even they brought him inside sometimes, and he stayed in there as well. So but he was well taken care of. Like I said, there wasn't lots of dogs, and we knew that he had lots of space to run and exercise and chasing his ball and things like that. And so then we would go on holiday maybe once every summer. So we said, right, well, we'll go away once every summer, and we always used to say to the kids, well, Milo's going on his holiday and we're going to go on our holiday. And unfortunately, then she moved when she graduated university or finished her master's, I should say, and got a job offer and moved to Australia. So we were like, well, that's a little far to find him from.
You can't drop Milo over there.
Yes, I know. And we just couldn't bear the thought of him going somewhere and being like stuck in a kennel or going with someone and that we just didn't know, or that we didn't have a really good recommendation from locally. So, and especially because he does love to get out and run so much and chase the ball and everything like that. So for us, we've just kind of said, well, unless we have somebody else in the family that can come and stay with them and mind them or something like that, maybe once their kids are a bit older, then that's a possibility. But we just plan our holidays with them. So for instance, this year we went to Donegal, we went down south, just outside of, what was it? I can't remember now, but somewhere down south we stayed. And we just find places that allow dogs, and there actually are quite a few. So you can, and there's more and more coming. There's a lot of like even the travel sites and stuff, you can search for places that offer dog friendly stays and things. So it is possible, obviously if you're going to travel on plane or something like that, it's, trickier and probably isn't feasible really. But yeah, so we just stayed local, and that's what we've done the past.
That's beautiful to know that you, as a family, you plan your vacations, your holidays around Milo and make sure he's a part of it. Because many a times families want to go for a holiday and they don't know what to do with their pet. And unfortunately, summer is another time when a lot of pets get abandoned because people don't find a place to leave their pets. Either the dog carer's place is all booked. They don't have any space. And these kind of reasons, becomes another excuse for people to abandon their pets. So it's beautiful to know that, you make sure that, Milo is included and he's a part of your vacation. It's lovely. In your opinion, over the years, what you feel Milo has taught you or you have learned from Milo?
I think they teach you just kindness too, kindness and patience, and I think forgiveness in a way as well, because a dog's, even if you accidentally step on their foot, or a couple of times when the kids were young and they were like, there's especially kind of like smacking or things like that, and the dog gets like accidentally whacked or something. They're very, or you don't take them out, and they're standing in the window going, why am I not going with you to the grocery store? But
the sad
they don't
eyes.
stay mad. I know they do. They give you that look. But they don't stay mad. They don't stay mad. They don't hold grudges. They don't stay mad. 5 minutes later, if that even that long, they're just happy to see you again and want a belly scratch and all of that. So I think that there's a lot about, in that capacity that they can teach you for sure.
No, I think we humans have these things, this fluctuation. Sometimes we are happy, sometimes we are sad. For them, just seeing us is it, and they're happy all the time. It's all about us. And I think there's so much to learn from them in that aspect.
Definitely. Well, like that phrase you always hear, oh, it's a dog's life. And I know a lot of people say that from the perspective of, oh, they don't have to do anything, right? They just lay in their beds and they get their food served to them and they get this and they get that. But I think it's maybe more from another perspective, in that the dog's life, and that, they're just the smallest things make them happy. You know, they're just
Yeah,
happy to have the people around them that they
exactly.
care about and love, you know, their pack and
Yeah.
all of that kind of stuff. And I think that that's, you know, a huge thing that, yeah, we
Their
definitely learn.
emotions are very simple, their expectations are simple, and there
Yeah.
is so much for us as humans to learn from them, you know.
Definitely.
Just
Definitely.
smile and they're happy. And even if we get upset, they don't get upset. Next day when you get up and you
Yeah.
sit in front of them, they're still wagging their tail. You know?
Yes.
So
Yes.
I think that what is Milo's favorite activity? I know you said ball. So how does he like to play with it?
You just throw it, and it doesn't even matter. Like, you can take it and you can roll it 2 inches, or
Oh,
you can roll it, you know, you can throw it to go to the park and, you know, fling it for half a mile. he just is absolutely obsessed with fetching the ball. He loves it, absolutely loves it.
that's
More than anything, more than anything.
what is his favorite food?
Well, now we are very strict in that he only gets dog food. And I think for us, I know everyone has their different ways that they do it, which is, you know, which is obviously fine. You know, I had other dogs in the past where we did have special food for, and like our husky had lots of trouble with his stomach, and we had to make pasta and chicken and, you know, all of this kind of stuff for. But with Milo, we've always just given him now it's good dog food, you know, but we just give him dry dog food. He's not allowed any scraps, not allowed anything like that. And I think that that's, again, has helped him because he never begs for anything. You know, you can leave a plate of food sitting on the table, on the coffee table, and he would never go near it.
How sweet.
And, you know, he has a couple of treats and stuff like that, but that he likes, you know, like dog treats. But other than those, no, we would be quite strict with him that way.
That's beautiful. And I think with Leo also is the same thing, except
Mm.
with Leo, his treats are just beans, French beans, carrots,
Oh, wow.
apple, and that's it. So when my
French beans,
little
that's
one, the
funny.
other one came, he was like, you know, he kept looking at Leo and he's like, "Are these your treats?" Yeah.
That's so
But
funny.
but
Yeah.
actually, even the younger one now, okay, like, okay, you're having that, then let me also have
Yes.
it.
I want what you have. Yes.
Exactly. So it's like, oh, apple, beets, carrots, really?
Oh, lovely.
I know. Jennifer, what is your message to our audience?
Well, I suppose it's just thinking that, you know, it's getting a dog is a big decision. So make sure that you get a dog, and also get a kind of dog that suits your life. Like, I know for us when we were looking at dogs, like I knew I just do kind of like the mid-size and the bigger dogs. Now it doesn't mean I would never have a smaller dog. But I know we go to the park a lot. We've got 2 boys that love to go to the park and run and do all of this kind of stuff. So for us, having a dog that could go to the park and could run and could, you know, a bit of rough and tumble and chase them as they kick the football, you know, up and down and that kind of stuff. We knew that that's the size and the kind of dog that we wanted. So I think that that's important, is that you think about, do I have a small apartment? You know, how often does the dog need to be walked? You know, does they need, how much exercise do they need? So all kind of good things to think about. And then also thinking again that it's, you know, this dog's going to be with you, you know, hopefully for a very long time. You know, and possibly even after the kids graduate or go off to university. And, you know, are you still going to want a dog then? Is it just a dog that you want for the kids? You know, so just making sure that, again, it's, you think of the long-term aspect of it, and you make sure that it's the right choice for you. And just make sure that you take the time to work with them. You know, I know so many people looked at me like I had 3 heads when I told him I slept on the sofa with Milo. I was potty training him, but he never, I think there's only been twice the whole time we've had him in just over 9 years that he has had an accident in the house, and that was our fault because we were late coming back from something. And, you know, he had an accident when he was in the kitchen or something like that. But that's been it. He's never like gone and had an accident in the house just for the sake of having it. He's just and I think that all the work and the time that we put into training him, you know, when we first got him as well, I felt comfortable knowing that the kids were, you know, safer around him. From day one nearly. I mean, he learned so quickly as well too. You know, but even as a puppy, you know, he was learning how to sit and stay and go to his bed, and the kids could direct him, you know, and say, well, go to your bed, or go do this, or go do that. And so that again gives you the confidence as a parent to know that, of course, you still always have to, you know, be aware, but that the family, you know, is safe around the dog, but also that the dog is safe, you know, around the kids, right?
That's true. Both ways. It goes both ways, yeah.
Exactly. And as much as poor Milo has been dragged up and down the house by the wee one, it's probably more the other way. But I guess just making sure too, and thinking about the money aspect of it, you know, and for instance, like we have pet insurance on Milo, because if anything was to happen, you know, we know we have that. Yes, there's a deductible to pay, but we know we're not having to make, you know, the awful decision of, do we do X, Y, and Z to try and save him, or do we not have the money to do that? So it's even like maybe, you know, thinking things through like that, like, is, you know, is there something on your home insurance policy that you can put on, or can you take out an additional pet policy? Would you have the money, you know, to microchip him and take care of him, and, you know, get his food? And, you know, again, I know like with the previous dog that we've had, he was at the vet a lot, and he wasn't well, and there was just a lot of stuff that was going on with him. He had to have like boiled chicken breast and all of this. So dogs are like people, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes things happen, or they become unwell, and you have to be prepared to know that you're going to take care of them.
It's unfair to expect a perfect dog, isn't it? With no
Yeah, there is no, just like there's no perfect life, there's no
Yeah.
perfect human, there's no perfect dog. And I think too, a big thing is like sometimes, yes, again, with people, you can have dogs that, you know, at the odd time that maybe there's something psychological, you know, with them, and that's unfortunate. Sometimes that does happen, like with people, right? You know, we sometimes have mental health issues and things as well. But I think generally as a whole, you know, we get out of our dogs what we put into them, you know, as well. And, you know, when we, again, if you put in the work and you put in the time, and you train them and things like that, it just makes for a better environment, you know, for everyone. You can have guests over without your dog jumping up, you know, and things of that nature. And it's not even so much about the breed then, you know. I know a lot of breeds get a bad name, but that's, I think, been more how they've been trained and raised.
Training, yeah. I think it's you're spot on with the things that you said, because it's about doing your homework, you know, and thinking about what is going to work in your family, in the place that you are in, or you know, your lifestyle, which breed is going to suit, how much time you're able to give, and then the finance. And the third aspect also, which you beautifully said, which is about training. And I think most of the time people forget the fact that dogs love to be trained. You know, they like some sort of discipline. They like to listen to you. They like to follow instructions because they look up to you. So it's important to teach them, and this will make life easier for both the owner
Exactly. And they do like it. And it's like, I think with a lot of us, you know, lots of us in different ways, you know, we like to know where the line is of things. You know, you like to know, right, well, this is the time I have to get up for school, or this is the time I have to do this, or, you know, whatever it might be. And I think, you know, having those, like you said, those parameters in place, it just makes it a happier household all around.
It builds their confidence, right? Just the way
it does,
when you have a structured routine, we feel like we are in control, the same way they feel that when, you know, things are in place, they are taught how to do certain things, they feel like, okay, I know how to be a good boy, you know.
And you can make it fun as well. Like I know with Milo, we used to do like mini obstacle courses in the garden, and we would he was climbing over stuff, and you know, and all of this. And even if he didn't do it, you know, all the way you wanted him to do it, it was fine. But he was having fun, and he would always get really excited because he knew that there would be treats involved. The boys, you know, would be very excited. So yeah, I mean, you can make it fun. And I guess, you know, a last sort of tip that I would give with training, and again, I'm not a trainer in any way, but I I've always found with our dogs, and again, especially with Milo, he's been brilliant, but is using hand signals. And dogs really respond, seem to really respond to that. So again, and like you said, do your homework, because different breeds have different personalities in general, and temperaments and all as well too. So just try and align about how what's best going to align with you and your family.
Amazing, Jennifer. I love every point of yours, and it is spot on. And so thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing yours and Milo's journey with us and inspiring everyone. So thank you once again.
And tell Lil Leo we said hello.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.